And it's time now for our Paris live interview. Now, any of you who visited Paris in December may have been struck by the level of smog. It was so bad that for 4 days the capital had to bring in an alternating traffic rule to try and limit the number of cars on the road. It was done with limited success. Paris is now shortly to introduce a new scheme where vehicles will have to obtain clean stickers to be able to circulate, something similar to what's currently in operation, for example, in London or in some German cities. So it looks as if the government's tackling the problem of air pollution head on, but is it? And what more needs to be done? Now, to discuss some of those issues, I'm joined by Olivier Blond, head of the NGO called Respire, which means breathe. Welcome to the programme, Olivier.
Thank you very much.
I would love to be able to breathe much better in Paris, and at the moment it just does not seem to be the case. You lobby for an improvement in air quality. There's a lot of work to be done. A survey carried out last year by the French National Health Agency claimed that air pollution is behind the deaths of 48,000 people in France each year.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's a global health crisis and nothing less. And it's not only France, it's Europe, it's worldwide. Worldwide, it's 7 million people a year. But in France, it's now the third causes of death behind alcohol and tobacco.
Smoking, yeah.
So it's huge. And nothing is done. Nothing has been done for 20 years. It's crazy.
So you're out there.
Yeah.
You're campaigning. But you're not just campaigning. You're trying to do something about this. What are you doing with Respire, with your association?
Well, we're doing a lot of things, and we're trying to make the state change. And in order to do that, we are suing the state because we consider that it is not doing its job. Because its job is to protect the citizens. It protects the citizens against violence, against terrorism, against, other things. And it has also to protect the citizens against air pollution, which, once again, kills 40,000 people a year. And it does not.
So you're suing the state because it's failing to protect citizens. So these are people who are suffering, what, from severe asthma?
Well, the trick with air pollution is that you imagine that it's hitting you in the nose or in the throat or maybe in the lungs, and it does, but it's only a very small part of the effects of air pollution. The point is, once the pollution comes to your lungs, it goes to your blood circulation, and then it goes to your entire body. So it can hit your brain, and now there are studies that show that air pollution can make you have Parkinson's or Alzheimer's disease. Of course, you can have cancers. Car exhausts have been have been classified as cancer causing particle by the World Health Organization. But it's only the start, because this pollution in your veins, in your arteries, it irritates your system. And after months or years, it causes what we call heart attacks, cerebrovascular attacks, and you can die maybe 2 years afterwards, just like poof, like that, by a stroke in the street, and it's air pollution.
So how many cases are you representing? I understand the first one was brought in 2014, so we're now 3 years down the line.
Well, we have been suing the state on many different occasions and for many different reasons. And of course, you can imagine that it's not that easy to win against the state. No. In 2014, we lost indeed. The state considered that there is a situation, but it's too complicated to know who is responsible. So they can't just deal with this action. So now we are helping people who have been hit in their body during the recent peak of pollution, and we have now 30 people who are suing with us.
Just on the basis of what happened here in Paris in December?
Yes.
Yeah, because it was particularly high.
Well, the peak is not the worst part of the pollution, but it's the easiest way for us to show that there is a connection and that there is not enough action from the political state.
Yeah. Now, the government is trying to do something. Okay, we briefly mentioned this scheme with alternating number plates, basically saying one day that some cars could run, the next day other cars. It wasn't a tremendous success. No. Now there is a new scheme which is going to be coming in on the 16th of January, also concerning cars. So we're also really, dealing with when things get really bad, we try and stick a plaster on it and we take some of the cars off the road. This new scheme is called Respire, and if I understand rightly, French motorists in high pollution areas will have to show a clean sticker on their vehicle. Can you tell us a bit more about how it will work and whether you consider that this will be an effective measure?
Yes. Well, you have said the global story. But first, I should say that the state is not doing anything, because this Respire and this alternating circulation system is set by the cities and not by the state. And that's the point. We can see in France that cities are leading the fight against air pollution and that the state is laying behind. And it's shocking. And for an example, the health minister, Marisol Touraine, has not said anything about this problem. She does seem to consider that it's not her business. It's only a question of environment. Once again, it's a health crisis, and I don't understand that she doesn't do anything. But for this Respire system,
because let's say the Paris mayor is being very proactive about this. Yeah. She says she wants to phase out diesel vehicles in the next few years, and even in the whole of France, she would like to see them disappear. But she's not president yet, so I guess she's not going to be bringing that, making that possible. But she is trying to tackle the problem, at least at the level of the capital.
Yeah, once again, it's the mayor who's doing things. The system is much better than the other one, because the other one was kind of absurd. It was a number, depending on the number of your plate,
your registration number.
You were allowed or not to use your car. So you had a big SUV, very emitting vehicle, and the right number on your plate, and you could drive. And you had a very small car, and you could not. So this is changing. And now, depending on the emissions of your car, you will be allowed or not to drive into the inner city during peak of pollution. So it's better.
It seems fairer.
Yeah, it's fair.
The fact is, are people likely to respect this? We saw that they didn't respect the alternating vehicle system. In fact, after a couple of days, it was like anything goes. The fines were very low, I think 22 euros. No one paid any attention. Is there more chance that people will respect this new scheme?
I believe that, because I believe that people did not respect the former system because they felt that it's not fair. So if it's not fair, there is no reason for anyone to obey. If they feel that the system is better and that, they can understand that everyone should take part of the fight against pollution, there might be more agreement about this.
Okay. Now, Olivier Blond, you've said that you're globally quite disappointed with government action on the issue of air pollution. Nonetheless, they have announced a few measures. For example, there's a super bonus scheme that's going to be extended, in which vehicle owners can get a €10,000 payment for changing their old, more polluting vehicle for an electric one. For the moment, that was something that only had been offered to private car owners, but it's now to be extended to taxis and vans. And I think also they're going to be offering a bit of money for people who buy an electric scooter, for example. So a few financial incentives. What more are you expecting the government to do?
Well, there are many, many things to do.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, and maybe we should not focus only on cars. Because, of course, cars emit a lot of pollution, but they are not alone. And once again, when you focus on cars, you forget what's the reason for people to take cars. And this reason is that public transportation is not that efficient in Paris or in many cities. So if you want to reduce car usage, well, let's invest in public transportation. This is the first very important point. The second point is that you have other sources of emissions, like industrial emissions, heating devices, and agriculture. So we should address those issues too.
Absolutely. So an awful lot of work to be done. I wish we could continue, but it's time to end the conversation. Many thanks. Olivier Blond, head of the anti-air pollution Respire.
Thank you very much.